What if I told you the biggest barrier between you and the respect you crave isn't your talent, your intelligence, or even your intentions, but your own emotions? Think about it. Who hasn't felt that burning shame after losing their cool, shouting, crying, or just completely melting down when a steady hand was needed? And then, that awful realization. People aren't looking at you with respect, but with disdain, maybe even a hint of fear. Many of us try to rationalize it. It's human to feel deeply, we say. Being emotional is a sign of authenticity. But where's the respect that authenticity supposedly earns? Where's that undeniable authority over your own life everyone secretly desires? Friedrich Nietzsche, that provocative German philosopher, would cut right through that comfort. He'd tell you, without apology, that these people are nothing but slaves. Now I know, that word, slave, hits hard. It's radical. It's meant to sting. But before you dismiss it, understand his logic. For Nietzsche, those who cannot command themselves are destined to obey. And let's be brutally honest, the world doesn't respect those who seem born to follow orders, especially orders from their own chaotic inner world. The world, my friends, can be cruel to those who haven't mastered their own passions. It doesn't matter how brilliant, how talented, how well-intentioned you are. If you're a hostage to your own emotional hurricane, you will be perceived as weak, unstable, and incapable, not just of leading others, but of leading yourself. Because there's a dark, unspoken truth no one likes to face. People simply do not respect those who are constantly dragged around by their own impulses. But let's be clear, Nietzsche isn't trying to turn you into a feelingless robot, a cold, indifferent shell of a human. Not at all. For him, emotional control isn't about denying your emotions, but about an almost artistic ability to shape them, to use them as instruments of your own will, to transform raw fury into laser-sharp focus, to transmute pain into creative drive, to forge fear into unwavering courage. And right there, in that transformative act, is where the real difference begins. The line between the weak and the strong, between those commanded by circumstances and those who actively shape the world around them. This video is for you if you're tired of being labeled explosive, unstable, or difficult. It's for you if, deep down, you know you could be so much more. But you keep sabotaging yourself every time you lose your head. It's for those who understand that living by impulse might bring a fleeting moment of relief, but it comes at a staggering cost. The respect of others, and more critically, your own self-respect. And here's the uncomfortable truth few have the guts to say. Until you master your own emotions, you will never earn true, deep respect. Because those who can't govern themselves have no authority to govern anything. As Nietzsche starkly reminds us, he who cannot command himself must obey. And that, he'd argue, is the very nature of all weak men. Are you ready to uncover why losing control of your emotions condemns so many to live small, constrained lives? And how you can transform that raw, volatile energy running through your veins into personal power and genuine, unshakable respect? Then stick around, because today, you might just realize, for the very first time, that controlling your emotions is the key to achieving something no one else can ever give you: true respect. Some people get this profoundly wrong. They confuse controlling emotions with repressing them, as if they're the exact same thing. How often do we hear that someone who masters their feelings is cold, distant, almost inhuman? How many times is someone who holds back tears or maintains a calm face amidst anger accused of stuffing it down, keeping everything inside, or running away from their truth? But this modern, seemingly sensitive view, it's a massive misunderstanding. And Nietzsche would have been the first to scoff at such a mistake. For him, emotional control has absolutely nothing to do with suffocating what you feel. It's not about silencing your inner monster or pretending it doesn't exist. On the contrary, the philosopher saw emotions as vital, potent, almost artistic forces, an essential part of being human. He believed there was greatness in feeling deeply, but he also saw profound tragedy in living enslaved by those impulses. In Nietzsche's stark logic, mastering emotions means recognizing every internal shadow without fear or shame, and then crucially, deciding what to do with it. Think of it like a sculptor's work. The raw, uncarved marble is your emotions in their wildest state. Repressing would be like hiding that marble in a dusty basement, pretending it doesn't exist. Mastering, however, is sculpting. It's choosing shapes, giving contours, transforming that raw, untamed material into something beautiful, strong, and deeply respectable. Some people mistakenly think that feeling anger, sadness, or fear is a sign of weakness. For Nietzsche, that's just plain wrong. The problem isn't in feeling these emotions. It's in becoming a hostage to that feeling. The person who can't contain themselves when provoked, who explodes with hatred, believes they're being true or authentic. But in reality, they're merely demonstrating a profound lack of self-control, and therefore are not worthy of genuine respect. Because here's the kicker: anyone who can provoke you can manipulate you. Nietzsche saw emotions as raw material for something greater. Anger can become focused determination. Fear can morph into strategic prudence. Sadness can deepen into profound compassion. Joy can ignite creative energy. But all of this requires discipline, acute self-awareness, and above all, a will to power. You must want to shape your own chaos, rather than be shaped by it. And this is the greatest, most crucial difference between repressing and mastering. Repressing is burying what you feel until it inevitably explodes in an even more destructive way. Mastering is observing the emotion as it arises, feeling its power, but then deciding how, when, and if it will be expressed. It's choosing to transform the flame into guiding light, instead of letting it burn everything down. And if all this sounds good, but still a little distant, it's because there's something even more fundamental we need to understand. Where does this wild, untamed force that resides within each of us actually come from? Why are emotions so incredibly powerful, capable of building empires or utterly destroying them in an instant? Nietzsche had a profound answer for that. And that's exactly what we're diving into next. Nietzsche believed that emotions aren't just fleeting whims of the human soul. For him, each emotional impulse is a force of nature in its purest state. Brutal, intense, often irresistible. It's as if within every human being, there are storms ready to brew, earthquakes capable of shaking everything around you, volcanoes perpetually on the verge of eruption. And in this volatile scenario, the real danger isn't in feeling these forces, but in being utterly dominated by them. Many of us like to believe we are rational beings, absolute masters of our own choices. But Nietzsche knew the uncomfortable truth. Most of what people do or say arises long before reason even has a chance to manifest. It's emotions that take the helm, often silently, dragging us along like a powerful tide that few can truly contain. Take anger, for example. It's one of those primal, powerful forces. In an instant, it transforms your breathing, hardens your gaze, clenches your fists. It's almost impossible to ignore the heat that takes over your body, the urgent desire to react, to lash out, to prove a point. But Nietzsche saw something more profound. He realized that while anger is destructive when unleashed without restraint, it also carries a vital energy that can be transformed into courage or absolute, unwavering focus. A man who can harness this inner fire and direct it toward a constructive purpose is seen as powerful. On the other hand, one who surrenders to the impulse, who breaks everything around them, or unleashes poisonous words, reveals only weakness and is quickly seen as unstable, untrustworthy. Fear is another gigantic force. It paralyzes, shrinks your shoulders, makes your voice waver. But Nietzsche didn't see fear as an absolute enemy. For him, fear is also a tool of nature, a primitive alert that, if used wisely, can save lives and prepare you for greater challenges. The problem arises when fear becomes the master of the house, governing all your decisions, preventing any bold step. At that moment, a man loses the respect of himself and others, as he demonstrates that he is not the master of his own destiny. Sadness, too, holds immense depth and power. It's in this emotion that our capacity for compassion, deep reflection, and genuine empathy resides. But if you dive so deep into it that you become lost, you'll be seen as fragile, unable to bear the weight of life. Nietzsche didn't despise sadness. On the contrary, he saw it as essential raw material that could become poetry, philosophy, art. Into it, but only if it doesn't become an emotional prison. In each emotion, Nietzsche identified a raw potential, an energy that could either build or destroy. The crucial point is this: such overwhelming forces, when not mastered, make the individual utterly predictable. And a predictable person is easily manipulated. Those who lose control at the slightest provocation practically hand over the reins to anyone who knows how to push their buttons. Those who let fear dictate every choice are simple to dominate. And those who drown in sadness lose the strength to react to the world. For Nietzsche, these natural forces aren't inherently bad. The problem lies in allowing them to govern you instead of being governed by you. And this distinction between those who react as puppets of their own emotions and those who transform them into instruments of creation is fundamental to understanding his philosophy. But who, then, can accomplish this feat? Who is capable of looking into their own chaos and shaping it into a creative force? Nietzsche had a clear answer: the active man. And that's exactly who we're talking about next. If this content is making sense, if it's resonating with you, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. Your support helps this channel grow and bring these profound ideas to more people. Thank you. For Nietzsche, humanity is divided, almost brutally, into two types of people: the reactive man and the active man. This isn't just about temperament or personality. It's a profound difference in how each individual deals with their own emotions, desires, and the relentless stimuli of the world. The reactive man is someone who lives entirely at the mercy of what happens around him. He's a slave to his environment, to how others look at him, to their words, to the whims of chance. When someone provokes him, he reacts immediately, sometimes with fury, sometimes with fear, sometimes with bitter resentment. When praised, he puffs up with pride. When criticized, he sinks into shame. His moods rise and fall like a small boat tossed amidst gigantic waves. There's no constancy, no inner solidity. He is shaped by external events, like pliable clay in the hands of others. Nietzsche saw the reactive man as someone who wastes his own immense potential, because those who live only reacting never truly create. They're always too busy defending themselves, justifying their actions, fighting shadows, or desperately seeking approval. Their worth depends entirely on their environment, on others' opinions, on the whims of the moment. And for that very reason, they never earn genuine respect. Deep down, everyone realizes it only takes one emotional push to throw them off balance. And no one truly respects someone who is easy to topple. The active man, on the other hand, is a different breed of creature. He also feels fear, anger, sadness, and desire, but he does not become a slave to them. When provoked, he observes before acting. When filled with anger, he transforms that flame into fuel to achieve his goals. When he feels fear, he analyzes whether it's a useful warning or merely an obstacle to be overcome. His emotions are not denied, but used as tools. He is the sculptor of his own character, shaping even the most brutal internal forces that arise within him. The active man creates values, while the reactive man merely adopts ready-made values. The active man shapes the world around him, while the reactive is shaped by the world. The active decides. The reactive reacts. And that is why, according to Nietzsche, respect and admiration naturally gravitate towards the active man, because he radiates inner strength, solidity, mastery. He inspires confidence. People may not fully grasp where this aura of authority comes from, but they feel it, and they intuitively defer to it. Nietzsche believed that the active man is one who is deeply attuned to the will to power. Not power in the vulgar sense of controlling people or accumulating status, but power as a creative force, as the profound ability to transform oneself, to overcome limits, to give shape to one's own passions. He is an individual who not only lives, but leaves his indelible mark on the world. And here lies the crucial point. No one is born entirely active or entirely reactive. This is an internal battle. It takes training, awareness, emotional discipline to become someone who uses their emotions instead of being used by them. But the effort is profoundly worth it, because those who reach this level of self-mastery come to be seen as worthy of respect and as someone capable of leading not only their own life, but also influencing and leading others. But there's something even deeper behind this distinction between acting and reacting. Because for Nietzsche, the inability to control one's own emotions reveals something much greater, an absence of the will to power. And it's precisely this powerful connection that we're going to explore next. For Nietzsche, behind all human strength or all weakness lies a fundamental principle, the will to power. And we're not talking here about power in the vulgar sense, as someone who seeks to dominate people, accumulate titles, or acquire wealth merely for status. The will to power, in Nietzschean philosophy, is something far deeper, almost biological. It is the vital force that drives human beings to grow, to surpass themselves, to expand their limits, and to assert their individuality in the world. Nietzsche saw this will as the very essence of life. Everything that lives, according to him, wants to grow, wants to dominate its environment, wants to impose its form on the chaos that surrounds it. Plants reach for the sun, animals fight for territory, humans create culture, art, and philosophy. All of this is the will to power in action, an incessant energy that refuses to remain small or limited. And here lies the crucial point. Those who do not control their own emotions reveal, for Nietzsche, a fundamental failure in this will to power. Because losing control is the exact opposite of exercising power over oneself. It is yielding to the brute force of instincts, like an animal that reacts without thinking. When someone explodes with anger, when they let themselves be consumed by fear, or when they get lost in endless sadness, they are showing the world, even without realizing it, that they cannot command even their own inner territory. And for Nietzsche, those who do not govern themselves have no right to govern anything else. This is precisely why genuine respect is never truly granted to those who live dominated by their own passions. Because respect, ultimately, arises from the perception of strength. And strength here isn't physical brutality or violence. It is inner strength. It is discipline. It is self-control. It is the ability to remain steadfast when everything around you tries to pull you away from your center. The man or woman who demonstrates self-mastery inspires profound confidence because they prove they can withstand pressure, that they won't yield to the first provocation, that they will not be easily manipulated by fleeting emotions. Nietzsche saw emotional outbursts as clear signs of weakness, not because he was opposed to passion, but because he believed that these outbursts reveal that the person is being lived by their emotions, rather than living their emotions consciously. The individual who screams, who despairs, who implodes or explodes without being able to choose their own reaction, is in fact silently declaring to the world, I have no control over myself. And this silent confession is the ruin of genuine respect. Furthermore, there is another even deeper aspect. Those who do not control their own emotions become predictable, and the predictable is easily manipulated. Nietzsche knew that society is often governed by those who know how to push the right buttons in others' emotions, whether through fear, wounded pride, or the seductive promise of pleasure. The man who does not master his inner self is always vulnerable to the wills of others. He is a toy in the hands of whoever knows how to provoke him. And there is something almost tragic about this, because many of these people desperately desire respect. They want to be seen as strong, reliable leaders. But every outburst of anger, every moment of paralyzing fear, every emotional loss of control is a crack that destroys that image. In the eyes of others, they begin to appear childish, unstable, unworthy of trust. Nietzsche warns us that there is only one way to earn genuine respect: to demonstrate power over oneself. Those who prove they govern their own inner kingdom almost effortlessly gain the admiration of those around them. And there is nothing more magnetic than someone who maintains serenity, even when the world seems to be on fire. This is true power, the kind that cannot be bought, only earned through relentless discipline and unwavering will. But this leads us to another crucial question. Does mastering emotions really mean living without feelings, cold, insensitive, distant from life itself? Or is there a way to feel everything deeply and still remain in complete control? What Nietzsche truly teaches us about this, we will explore in the next part. If what you're hearing resonates with you, you'll find real value in my ebooks. Beyond the Shadow breaks down Jung's core ideas for navigating your inner world, while Dialogues with the Unconscious gives you a practical 30-day path to apply them in your life. Both are linked in the pinned comment below. There's a false belief that has spanned generations, the idea that controlling emotions means feeling nothing, that it implies living in an almost mechanical coldness, distant and disconnected from the vibrant world around us. Many sincerely believe that to master their own emotions, one would need to amputate a part of their humanity, don an impenetrable armor, and suffocate any sign of vulnerability. Nietzsche, however, shatters this illusion with the force of a hammer. For him, true emotional control has nothing to do with killing feelings. It has everything to do with choosing them, with transforming them into dynamic tools of your own will. In Nietzsche's view, feeling is inevitable. Emotions are a fundamental part of what it means to be alive. They provide color, intensity, and purpose to our existence. Without emotions, life would be a monotonous succession of identical days, devoid of passion, art, or genuine meaning. But there is a vast, crucial difference between living subjugated by emotions and using them as instruments to shape your destiny. For Nietzsche, mastering emotions is about remaining sovereign within your own inner castle. It's not about ignoring fear, anger, or sadness. It's about recognizing them, understanding them, analyzing their source, and then deciding what to do with them. It's like standing before a magnificent wild animal. You can either flee in panic, or you can learn to tame it, channeling its immense strength into something productive and powerful. Think of anger again. Many only see it as destruction, but Nietzsche saw boundless possibility. Anger can be a force that explodes, devastates everything in its path, leaving only ruins. Or it can be channeled into courage, into absolute clarity to defend your boundaries, into laser-sharp focus to achieve something great. The question always is, who is in command? The same goes for fear. It's one of our most primitive feelings, deeply rooted in our biology, existing purely to protect us, to alert us, to keep us alive. But without mastery, fear transforms into a suffocating prison. You begin to avoid all risks. Your dreams are suffocated. You flee from battles that could utterly transform you. Nietzsche believed that fear, when recognized and faced head-on, becomes strategic prudence, not crippling cowardice. Even sadness, so often mistakenly seen as weakness, can be transformed. For Nietzsche, there is a profound greatness in melancholy. It can generate deep reflection, authentic compassion, and sublime art. But only when it doesn't become an emotional swamp where you sink and get hopelessly lost. True emotional mastery isn't about suppressing anything, but about choosing when to feel, how to express it. It's having the profound freedom to explode with unbridled joy when the occasion calls for it. To cry when pain tightens your chest, but without allowing that pain to paralyze your entire existence. It is to remain steadfast, even under immense provocation, not because emotions don't exist, but because you have decided that this is not the moment to let them speak. This is the supreme power of the active man, the ability to act and not just react, to make one's own life a magnificent work of art, where each emotion is a color consciously chosen to paint the masterpiece. Nietzsche did not want to create apathetic beings. He wanted intense, alive, passionate men and women, but masters of their own helm. And there is a magnificent consequence of this self-mastery: respect. True, profound respect. Because those who demonstrate self-governance inspire unshakable confidence. People often know without being able to explain it that there is someone solid, reliable, and strong there. And as Nietzsche knew so well, only those who can overcome themselves can truly lead others, whether in a boardroom, in a deep relationship, or in the silent, everyday battle of life itself. But it's not enough to understand all this intellectually. The burning question remains: how do you take the very first step towards this mastery? How do you begin transforming internal chaos into creative power, into a strength that earns you genuine respect? This is precisely what we are going to unveil now. Nietzsche was never a thinker for fragile hearts. He spared no words, had no patience for comfortable illusions, and above all, despised any form of self-deception. And that is why his message about emotions remains so relevant, so cutting, even more than a century later. Because it forces us to look squarely in the mirror and ask, who is really in control here? Throughout this journey, we've seen that mastering emotions doesn't mean erasing them, nor putting on a cold mask. It means, above all, exercising absolute sovereignty over yourself. It's recognizing that, within every human being, exists a whirlwind of natural forces: fear, anger, sadness, desire, passion, and that all of them are immense powers that can both destroy and build. The critical difference lies only in who holds the reins. Nietzsche taught us that living dominated by impulses is to live small. It is to live predictably, manipulatively, vulnerably. It is to walk through the world with invisible signs hanging around your neck, saying, "Here are my emotional triggers. Press them whenever you want." And in that state, no one earns genuine respect. Because respect arises from the recognition of inner strength, the ability to stand firm, even when everything around screams for chaos. But we also saw that Nietzsche was not an enemy of emotions. On the contrary, he saw them as creative instruments, as the very raw material for art, philosophy, and human greatness. For him, the active man, the one who shapes the world instead of being shaped by it, is the one who knows how to use his emotions as potent tools, not as debilitating shackles. It is the one who transforms anger into unwavering determination, fear into shrewd strategy, and profound sadness into artistic depth. Genuine respect, then, is not something that is demanded from others. It is something that is earned when you demonstrate, in a silent but absolutely perceptible way, that you are the undisputed master of your own inner territory. Those who master themselves earn, almost without a word, the trust, the admiration, and yes, the deep respect of those around them. But this journey is not simple. It requires immense courage, because it means abandoning the comfortable, tempting solace of victimization, stopping the blame game against the world, circumstances, or external provocations. It means looking unflinchingly at your internal chaos and making the deliberate decision to shape it. It means becoming the artist of yourself. And now, I want to provoke you. Yes, you who have made it this far. I want you to tell me, in which area of your life do you feel you most urgently need to master your emotions? Is it at work when someone triggers you? Is it in relationships when insecurity speaks louder than reason? Or is it with yourself, in those quiet, vulnerable moments when the internal shadows seem larger than anything? Write it down in the comments below. Share where you feel you're losing control. Because the very act of writing it, of articulating it, is the first powerful step towards becoming aware. And awareness, my friend, is always the beginning of any profound transformation. And if this video made you reflect, don't stop here. There is so much more to be said, so much more to be revealed. Watch the next video. It's also important, because the path to self-mastery and earning genuine respect does not end today. It's just beginning. And if there's one thing Nietzsche taught us, it's that the will to power begins within each of us, and it manifests in every choice we make, even in the choice to continue learning.